back. It's still pretty early in the day, a little, almost 11:30 in the morning. It's warmed up a little bit. It's not a terribly cold day, but at the end of our last episode, I realized I want to expand our field a little bit bigger because it's really a little small at the moment. So we're gonna do that now. Oops. Yeah, this works better from the other side. Alright, let's make it a little wider as well. Because this plow doesn't turn, it works best if you work from one central strip and then just work your way out from there. Create fields, and away we go. I find if I'm farming potatoes, I find this, like a long, narrow field, I find easier to work, because turning around the potato harvester is kind of a pain in the butt. But I don't think we're gonna... I like potatoes. That's the problem. Just, they're hard to work small. Actually, they're hard to work at any form factor, if I'm honest, but... working a potato field small is even harder to do. But I suppose if we get a loader attachment, we could always just shovel them up after the other harvester leaves them on the ground. Maybe we'll do that. Yes. This will be the 7th time I've decided what this farm is going to be, but this time I kind of mean it. It's going to be potatoes. Maybe. I don't know. We got time. Let's get the field plowed first, and then we'll decide what we're going to plant in it. Which I think is as far as I made it last time as well. Now, if we do grow potatoes, we could kind of segue that into, as we build different farms doing different things around the neighborhood. We could always have this farm growing potatoes supplying a pig farm with feed and then selling the excess. So that may not be a bad idea. We get our own little economy going. I think if we do something like that where we're operating 7 or 8 farms, we'll have to drop the speed from 5 down to 1 and just do all our work and then call it a day and force it to sleep and then come back at it the next day, because there's no way we would have time to do everything in the course of a day. I find the way this game is scales down reality, I think 5 tends to balance it well in terms of how much work you can accomplish on a farm in a day. I don't know, it just feels kind of fitting, if that makes any sense. So, I like to try and keep it on 5, and just, if I don't get stuff done in a day, I don't get stuff done. But sometimes, depending on the weather, I'll cheat it a little bit and drop it down to 1 if the forecast is really crummy and I'm not going to get a chance, especially if I'm trying to get my hay in ahead of some rain or something. But I'll worry about that after. Might not be a bad way to earn some extra money from all this open grass. Depends on how much the baler costs. I do know I have a small baler that works fine with the small tractor. Alright, let's get rid of a tree. And this is one of the forestry mods that I installed. Lets me just use the chainsaw to get rid of stumps. And another thing it does is gives me super strength so I can pick up the trees. I don't think we have a sell point for wood right now, but... Oh my god, this log is being difficult. There, you stay there. Anyway, we may have to plop down a sell point. I don't think the one up at the store buys wood. But I have some that don't cost money. Or we could build up a lumber mill later when we get more money. Something that looks a little better. There's a little pond down the road that would suit well for one. I think there's even some logs there we could steal if we're really desperate for money. But like I said last time, I find logging to be a little overpowered anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about that for now. As for this field, I think I'll do one more pass just because we're going to run into this rock soon. So, maybe just enough to take care of that big bush. Get out of our way. This field's looking a little more workable than it was before. One thing I wish I could find is a proper snowblower mod. All the mods I find for snowblowers in this game are... the snowblowers behave really weirdly. And maybe they're operated like that in other places, but that's not how they're operated here, and they require really large horsepowers. My grandfather had a tractor similar to this one, and he ran a snowblower off it all the time. But I don't think this thing would run any of the in-game snowblowers. So I find it a little strange. Like, I've seen people like mounting snowblowers onto lawnmower tractors. Maybe not giant snowblowers, but they've had little ones mounted on. So, I don't know. I'm hoping the snow is handled a little better in 22 than it is the way Seasons added it in. Seasons is great, and I love that it added snow at all, but just the way they had to work within the game to make it work, it just kind of acts like grain on the ground, so it behaves a little strangely when you're trying to work with it. Which I assume is half the issue I have with snowblowers and stuff. And plows. But the Geo I'm using right now, I think it's just the default one. I don't tend to get so much snow that I need to worry about plowing it. I usually just drive through it. It's not super deep. I had a Geo in before that was based on Quebec, and that one got so much snow that I couldn't grow grain because by the time the ground thawed and you planted, you wouldn't have time for it to grow. Even if you did winter wheat, you still wouldn't have time for it to grow before the next winter, and you wouldn't be able to harvest it. So I had to stop using that one. But I got lots of snow. It was nice and realistic that way. But again, it's not the simulator part of the game title is a little bit of a stretch when it comes to farming sim. Doesn't mean it's any less fun. I really enjoy it. I find it so relaxing just cruising up and down your field with the tractor. Maybe I should quit the IT career and start farming. Maybe not. Alright, one more pass down the other side should take care of that bush that was annoying me. And then I noticed we got a few things up at the other end we have to clean up. Just a couple of tufts of grass sticking out the end. I think we're still clear of the rock. This map has a neat little thing where if there's a couple of signs over by the store, if you cut them down with the saw, it'll do different things. One of them will get rid of these rocks, and the other one will get rid of the trees. I'll often get rid of the rocks, but the trees I generally leave. But in this case I decided to just leave them and we'll farm around them. There, that should get rid of that stupid bush. Now we got another one in the way, but whatever. If it bugs me too much, I'll just use landscaping tools to switch that to grass or something. Alright, let's fix this. Alright. That's good. Let's shut off field creation so we don't accidentally put some furrows in the ground next to the building. Yep, it's disabled. Alright, definitely potatoes, so and let's make sure I can't change my mind. I'm gonna go buy the equipment as soon as I can find it. Shouldn't be this difficult. There it is. And this little guy, we got enough horsepower, yep. I like the red. Just the little one's fine. Yeah, let's just buy it like that. And we're gonna need the harvester. Now I have that one. I suppose I could have went with this one. It's narrower. I had some trouble with this topper, so I'm gonna have to see how that works. Basically, I was destroying the crop from driving over it, trying to operate this, so I gotta figure that out when it comes time to harvest. But for now, we'll get this harvester. I hope we can power it. Let's go pick it up anyway. And that 200, or it was 300,000 not long ago, so that's gonna dwindle quickly. I don't know where we got it. Maybe we, I don't know. Inherit seems like a boring way to do it. Gotta come up with some reason why we had 500k. Won it in the lottery. Let's go with that. So we quit our day job and decided to become farmers. Ooh, that was close. Almost hit that. seem to be able to run it, so... I guess the harvester will work. We'll see what happens when it gets into the ground. Does it operate as a trailer, or no, it's one piece, huh? Okay, I thought it was pivoting. Interesting. Good thing we have the weights on the front. So every time I try and turn, it's just dragging those wheels. I'm guessing in the real one, those be on casters. Because otherwise, every time you turn, you'd be dragging wheels sideways across the dirt. Scrape! Yeah, I don't think anybody's too keen on replacing tires every 10 minutes. Oh. Oops. I'm just being an idiot, that's why. It was supposed to be in the air. And we'll come back with the truck and get some seeds after, but first I think we'll lime up the field. Let's see about fertilizer. And we're getting there. I think those cogs are just decorative. They don't seem to connect to anything. Alright, so we gotta lime the field. Then we need to get a cultivator, because that's not been cultivated. I don't know if the temperature's fit to plant yet. We'll see once we get it limed and check the forecast. We still have a lot to do before we can plant anyway, so we gotta get that stuff sorted out. Alright, we got our lime. Can't remember how wide this guy is, so let's try here. Then we'll adapt. Yeah, it's about that wide. How's that looking? Perfect. So for this growing season, I want to just get this field in the ground. And then while we're waiting for it to grow, then we can spend some time prepping a few more fields. And go from there. Now I normally like to kind of do it in this order. I like to plow it, then lime it, then cultivate it, and then fertilize it. The reason being, just the way the ground texture changes, it makes it easier for me to see where I've hit and where I haven't. I suppose I could have cultivated first, but that's fine. I find it easier to see the ground texture, depending on which step we've done. Not dumping, are we? I think next time I record, I'm gonna hook up my wheel. I have the little Driving Force GT Logitech. It's a great steering wheel. I use it for sim racing. But I find with Farm Sim I have to unplug the force feedback because it rattles too much with the tractor engines. But it's nice to have the precision when I'm turning, so I'm not just like twitching the steering wheel all the time. I think the big reason I don't normally hook it up is I usually just sit down to play Farming Sim for like 10 minutes at a time, and it's not worth the trouble of digging out the wheel, connecting it to the desk, getting the drivers set up so that they actually work. I've had some issues with the Logitech drivers on my machine pretty much since I got the wheel, but I've gotten it down to a pretty quick routine. It's a hassle. It's just one more thing to deal with when I just want to sit down and play something for 10 minutes and clear my head. So that's why I usually just drive on the keyboard. Now, if I were doing something like Truck Sim, I hook up the wheel every time. But I find Truck Sim relaxing just because I really enjoy doing long road trips in real life. And I find when you do a long haul down the highways, especially at night in the game, it captures that feeling quite well. When I'm doing my flight sims, I have a yoke that I use for that. That works quite well. I just use the pedals for my wheel as the rudders, which it doesn't feel anywhere near like the real plane, but it's what I have. Mind you, my yoke doesn't feel anything like the real plane either, but it's one of those I think it's CH Products yoke that has a little throttle quadrant on top. It works, but I'm curious if something like the Honeycomb would feel a little more realistic. I started doing some flight training, so in the real world, and I haven't been doing a whole lot of flight simming since then because I just can't get it to feel quite right. And I think it just comes down to I haven't been able to find a good model that matches the plane I've been doing real training on. If I was training on a 172, I think that would be easier, but I'm training on a Piper, so I don't have as many good options for X-plane models for that one. There's the A2A is a pretty good one for Flight Sim X and Prepare 3D, but I haven't used Flight Sim X in a long time, and I don't feel like investing in Prepare 3D, so But anyway, we're talking about farming, aren't we? Let's get this thing backed in. Now, my last reverse was sketchy. Let's see if I've improved. Not bad. And that's without steering wheel. Move all the way back. Oh, perfect. You almost swear I knew what I was doing. It's funny, I have a little camper that we tow behind the car, and that thing's got... I can actually back that thing up fairly well because of things like Truck Sim and Farm Sim, where I'm backing up trailers all the time. And who says video games don't do anything? Cultivator. And 90 horsepower, oh my god. It's tiny. Shouldn't need that much power. Ah, 30. Now we're talking. Wow. I'm not sure I like this radioactive green. I don't mind green, but that looks better. Yeah, let's go with that. Like that. Let's go with those. Interesting. I don't know if any of these make any difference. Let's go with the roller. Nah, we don't want warning boards. And the money depletes further. I think we're going to be short of money by the time we get our first harvest out of the ground. See, this is why I built my farm so close to the store. If I'm going back and forth picking up implements all the time, especially at the start, I don't feel like spending a 10-minute drive each way. I've seen a few different YouTubers operating on this map, and they set up way far down the road, and they usually time-lapse their way through the drives back and forth to the store, but oh my god, I feel for them. Just, that's brutal. It looks like it takes a good 10-15 minutes just to drive each way to the store. Like, just this little drive annoys me. And I understand why you would set up down there. This map is kind of made to be started down there. But, oh, it just... not for me. Actually, I think I want to fertilize it before I cultivate it. So drop that. Let's buy a fertilizer. I like this little guy. Oops. Let's not hit cancel. Actually, we went with these bags, didn't we, last time? For the lime. Let's go with the fertilizer like that, too. Let's just go with 2 this time. Shut the tractor off, save some fuel. Go jump in our trusty old pickup. Good, it started. I grew up, my father had an old pickup truck, similar era to this. He drove that thing for over 20 years. There were times where it's like, are you gonna start today? Maybe. Probably not. I'm, as much as I didn't like that truck back then, I would love to have one right now. It was an old 72 GMC. It's one of those things now that I tell myself, someday I'm gonna buy one. Fix it up. Well, if I find one now, they're probably all restored anyway. But I think that would be an awesome vehicle to have. If I had the money, I'd buy my father one as a gift. He misses that old truck too. Oh, nice and gentle. Maybe it's a good thing we don't start with eggs yet, because apparently I'm not gentle enough for eggs. We'd shatter every one when we tried to sell them. I don't think they actually break in this game, but still, that's not the point. If we play with global company, you can start producing honey. You gotta go and buy the jars and then go sell them, fill them, and then sell them. I just thought of that because of you can't break those jars either, although you really should be able to. Alright, we'll just unload these here. We'll put them away later. It's already 2 in the afternoon, and this video is already starting to run a little longer than I want. So we'll just get some fertilizer on the field, and then we'll call it an episode. Oops. This thing I think has a decently wide working width, so I should try this. Oh yeah. We're fertilizing the grass beside us as well, but that's alright. We're not actually using a whole lot of fertilizer, so I'm not too worried. See, this is what I meant by the textures, so now I can easily see where I've fertilized. Then we'll come back through, we'll get all this done, and then the texture between plowing and cultivating is pretty drastic as well, so it's easy to see where we've hit. Alright, we're almost done with the fertilizer. Didn't use too much either. I think those 2 pallets are going to do us for a few seasons. That's alright. Love the way the limes on my tires in this just gradually cleaning off as we drive through the grass. think if I drive through the dirt, it'll clean off quicker. Yep. Okay, let's do that. Park this inside just so it doesn't get rained on. I feel like if it rained on this, it would leak fertilizer all over the place, and then next thing you know, there's a government guy taking soil samples, and that doesn't end up, well, good for anybody. Alright, this field is almost ready to go. Let's see how fast this guy goes. I imagine it's going to take a little while. It's not too bad. Oh, let's drive in a straight line. Here's the problem with making videos about Farming Simulator. I really don't have too much to say. And there's not a whole lot for me to comment on. I'm just driving up and down the field. So, I don't know. I suppose this would be the point where I do a time lapse, but I'm still new enough to editing that I haven't quite figured out how to do that with the tools I'm using, which admittedly are very basic. Yeah. Plus, I don't know if I'm gonna keep Farm Sim as a long-term series or not. I just felt like playing it the other day, so I thought, let's just record. Actually, that's what this entire channel is. I don't think I'm gonna be the next PewDiePie or whatever person is making millions off YouTube this week is. I enjoy playing these games, so if I'm gonna play them anyway, I might as well just record it. But anyway, I think I'll finish doing up this field off camera, and then next time we'll come in and we'll plant, and once that's in, we can start prepping the other fields and do that a little more casually. And maybe start building out some more buildings and decorations around the farm, make it a little more, make it feel more like home, and I'd like to define the borders of it. I'm not necessarily going to make the fencing match the exact dimensions of the land we have, because it's all just those rectangles, but I'd like to just define where this farm itself is. And then when we build neighboring farms and stuff, they'll have their own land plotted out with fences and whatnot, or tree lines, things like that, just to differentiate one farm from the next, since we own all the land. So I think that's what we'll do. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.